What happens when Benedict Cumberbatch sits across the table from Joy Behar on The View? And the conversation takes a turn nobody in the studio expected. Make sure to subscribe to the Star Talks and like and comment for more talk show coverage. So the segment starts off like any other day on The View. The music fades, the audience is clapping, and the hosts are smiling. You can feel that familiar daytime energy, light, conversational, a little bit playful. Joy leans forward slightly, smiling at Benedict. Joy Behar. We are joined by the incredibly talented Benedict Cumberbatch, actor, producer, and now starring in a new project everyone's talking about. Welcome. Benedict smiles politely, gives a small nod. Benedict Cumberbatch. Thank you, Joy. It's lovely to be here. The audience applauds again. You can tell they're excited. He doesn't come on daytime talk shows like this very often. There's a bit of curiosity in the room. Another host jumps in, keeping things light. Host, we have to say you've played some of the most intense roles out there. Do people expect you to be serious all the time in real life? Benedict chuckles softly. Benedict Cumberbatch. I think there's a bit of that, yes. I suppose if you play a lot of intense characters, people assume you're analyzing everything constantly. Audience laughs. Joy tilts her head, a slightly teasing expression. Joy Behar. Well, aren't you? The audience laughs again, but there's a slight edge in Joy's tone, playful but probing. Benedict pauses for just a second, not awkward, just thoughtful. Benedict Cumberbatch. Only when necessary. I think most of us are just trying to get through the day without overthinking too much. Joy smirks. Joy Behar. That's not what I've heard about actors. A few scattered laughs from the audience, but it's lighter now. People are listening a bit more closely. Benedict shifts slightly in his chair. Benedict Cumberbatch. That sounds like a dangerous generalization. Audience reacts, some laughs, some ooh sounds. Joy raises her eyebrows, still smiling. Joy Behar. Oh, come on. Actors. Very sensitive, very intense, sometimes a little out of touch. That's the reputation. Now there's a noticeable shift. It's still calm, but the energy has changed. The other hosts glance at each other for a split second. Benedict keeps his composure. Benedict Cumberbatch. I think that depends entirely on the individual. I've met people in every profession who could fit that description. Audience claps lightly at that, supportive but cautious. Joy leans back slightly, crossing her arms just a bit. Joy Behar. Sure, but actors have a platform. And sometimes, they use it to lecture people who are just trying to live their lives. Now the room tightens. You can feel it. One of the co-hosts quickly tries to soften things. Host, I think what Joy's getting at is, there's a lot of conversation right now about celebrities speaking out on social issues. Benedict nods, acknowledging the shift. Benedict Cumberbatch. Of course. And I think it's important to be responsible with that. But having a platform also comes with the opportunity to raise awareness. Joy cuts in quickly. Joy Behar. But who decides what's raising awareness and what's just preaching? Audience murmurs. Some clap. Some go quiet. Benedict looks directly at Joy now. Still calm, but more focused. Benedict Cumberbatch. I think intent matters. And I think listening matters just as much as speaking. Joy responds almost immediately. Joy Behar. But are celebrities really listening? Or are they just talking? Now the tension is clear. It's no longer just playful back and forth. The audience is fully engaged, some leaning forward, others exchanging looks. Benedict takes a breath before answering. Benedict Cumberbatch. I can't speak for everyone, but I can say that many of us do try to engage thoughtfully. It's not about telling people how to live. It's about sharing perspective. Joy tilts her head again, not fully convinced. Joy Behar. But you understand why some people get frustrated, right? When someone who lives a very different life starts telling them what's important. There's a pause. A real one. Benedict nods slowly. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes, I do understand that frustration. The audience relaxes slightly, he acknowledged it. But then he continues. Benedict Cumberbatch. What I don't agree with is the idea that someone's profession disqualifies them from caring or speaking about issues that affect everyone. A louder reaction now, some applause, a few louder, yeah responses. Joy leans forward again. Joy Behar. It's not about disqualifying, it's about credibility. That word lands. Even the other hosts go quiet for a second. Benedict's expression changes just slightly, not angry, but more serious. Benedict Cumberbatch. Credibility doesn't come from your job title. It comes from how informed you are and how you engage with people. Audience claps again, this time stronger. Joy gives a small, tight smile. Joy Behar. But you have to admit, sometimes it feels like actors are performing even when they're not on screen. That gets a mixed reaction, some laughs, some audible hmm. Benedict lets out a small breath, almost a quiet laugh, but not quite. Benedict Cumberbatch. That's an interesting perspective. He pauses again, choosing his words carefully. Benedict Cumberbatch. But I think it's a bit unfair to assume insincerity just because someone happens to be an actor. The audience reacts again, this time more divided. One host tries to jump in again. Host, this is actually a really interesting conversation because... Joy interrupts, not aggressively, but firmly. Joy Behar. No, it is. And I'm not attacking you personally, Benedict. Benedict nods slightly. Joy Behar. But there's a broader issue here. Benedict responds, calm but direct. Benedict Cumberbatch. And I'm happy to talk about that. I just think it's important not to reduce people to stereotypes while doing it. That line hits. Audience, loud applause. Joy raises her hands slightly, half smiling. Joy Behar. Okay, fair enough. But let me ask you this. And you can feel it again, the moment right before things go further. Joy leans in, her tone shifting just a little more serious. Joy Behar. Do you think celebrities sometimes overestimate how much people actually want to hear from them? The audience goes quiet again. Benedict looks at her, steady. There's a pause that feels longer than it is. And right there, you can tell this conversation is about to escalate into something much bigger. Benedict holds that pause for a second longer than most guests would. You can feel the studio waiting, audience, hosts, even the crew behind the cameras. Benedict Cumberbatch. I think that depends on how you measure want. There's a slight murmur in the audience, people leaning in again. Joy doesn't miss a beat. Joy Behar. That sounds like a diplomatic answer. Benedict gives a faint smile. Benedict Cumberbatch. It's an honest one. A few claps break out, light but noticeable. Joy tilts her head again, her tone sharpening just a bit. Joy Behar. Because I'll tell you, there are a lot of people out there who feel like celebrities live in a completely different world. And when they speak on everyday issues, it doesn't always land. Benedict nods slowly, acknowledging the point. Benedict Cumberbatch. That's fair. But I think the assumption that we're completely disconnected isn't entirely accurate either. Joy leans forward. Joy Behar. You don't think there's a disconnect? Benedict shifts slightly in his seat, still composed. Benedict Cumberbatch. Of course there can be. But that's true of any group. People in media, politics, business. Anyone can become insulated if they're not careful. The audience gives a small wave of applause at that, recognizing the broader point. One of the co-hosts jumps in, trying to widen the conversation. Host, I think that's interesting because it's not just actors. People feel that way about a lot of public figures. Joy nods, but keeps her focus on Benedict. Joy Behar. Sure, but actors are visible. Very visible. And with that visibility comes influence. Benedict nods again. Benedict Cumberbatch. And responsibility. Joy immediately follows. Joy Behar. Exactly. So when that influence is used in a way that feels out of touch, people push back. The audience murmurs, some agreeing, some waiting. Benedict takes a breath. Benedict Cumberbatch. But pushing back is part of the conversation, isn't it? That's how dialogue works. Joy raises an eyebrow. Joy Behar. Dialogue only works if both sides are actually listening. Benedict's expression tightens slightly, not defensive, but more intent now. Benedict Cumberbatch. I agree. And I think there's a tendency to assume that because someone is speaking publicly, they're not listening privately. And that's not always true. Audience claps, this time a bit louder. Joy gives a short nod, but she's not backing down. Joy Behar. But do you see why people question it? When someone with wealth, privilege, and a global platform talks about struggle, it can feel disconnected. That word, privilege, lands heavier. You can hear a few reactions from the audience. Benedict leans forward slightly now, engaging more directly. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes, I understand that. And I think it's important to acknowledge privilege. Absolutely. The audience softens again. He's not dismissing it. But then he continues. Benedict Cumberbatch. What I don't think is helpful is the idea that acknowledging privilege should silence someone entirely. A stronger reaction now, applause, a few louder voices. Joy responds quickly. Joy Behar. No one's saying you should be silent. Benedict gently interjects. Benedict Cumberbatch. Sometimes it feels like that's the implication. That gets a louder, oh, from the audience. Joy leans back, arms crossing again briefly. Joy Behar. Or maybe people just want a little more humility. Now the tension spikes again. Benedict doesn't react immediately. He lets the moment sit. Benedict Cumberbatch. I think humility is essential. In any field. Not just acting. A co-host nods, trying to ease things. Host. That's a good point. Humility across the board. But Joy isn't letting it go. Joy Behar. But do you think that's always present? Because from the outside, it doesn't always look that way. Benedict looks directly at her again. Benedict Cumberbatch. From the outside, a lot of things can look a certain way. The audience reacts, half laughter, half tension. Joy smiles slightly, but there's an edge. Joy Behar. That sounds like you're saying the public just doesn't understand. Benedict shakes his head calmly. Benedict Cumberbatch. No, I'm saying perception is complex. And it goes both ways. Audience claps again. Joy pauses for a moment. This time she's thinking. Joy Behar. Okay, but let's get specific. The room shifts again. That line signals something deeper. Joy leans forward, resting her hands on the table. Joy Behar. You've spoken publicly about a number of social issues. Important ones. But do you ever worry that your voice carries more weight than someone who's actually living those experiences every day? There's a noticeable reaction. This is more pointed now. Benedict takes a breath, slower this time. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes. And I think that's exactly why it's important to amplify those voices, not replace them. The audience responds positively, applause, a few that's right comments. Joy nods, but she presses further. Joy Behar. But do you think that always happens? Or do celebrities sometimes become the center of conversations that aren't really about them? A co-host quietly says, That's a fair question. Benedict nods slightly. Benedict Cumberbatch. It can happen, yes. And when it does, it's important to step back. Joy immediately follows up. Joy Behar. Have you ever done that? There's a ripple through the audience. This is getting personal. Benedict doesn't hesitate. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes. That simplicity catches people off guard. Joy raises her eyebrows. Joy Behar. Can you give an example? Now the tension is sharp. The kind where even the audience hesitates to react. Benedict pauses. Not avoiding, just choosing carefully. Benedict Cumberbatch. There have been moments where I've realized that the conversation was moving in a direction where my voice wasn't the most important one in the room. A softer, more thoughtful reaction from the audience. Joy studies him for a second. Joy Behar. And you step back. Benedict nods. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes. There's a brief silence, unexpectedly calm. But then Joy shifts again, her tone changing slightly, more direct, less playful. Joy Behar. But you're still here. On a national platform. Speaking about these things. That line lands with weight. Benedict doesn't look away. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes. Because stepping back doesn't mean disappearing. It means being more mindful about how you engage. Audience applause stronger now. One of the co-hosts tries to lighten the tone. Host. This is actually a really important conversation. Joy cuts in again, but not harshly, just firmly. Joy Behar. It is. Because people are tired of feeling talked at. That phrase hits the room differently. Benedict leans in slightly more now, fully engaged. Benedict Cumberbatch. And they should be heard. Absolutely. He pauses. Benedict Cumberbatch. But I think there's also room for people to use whatever platform they have responsibly, without being dismissed outright. Audience claps again, more divided this time, but louder overall. Joy exhales slightly, almost a small laugh, but not quite amused. Joy Behar. So where's the line? And that question just hangs there. Even the other hosts don't jump in this time. Benedict looks at her, steady, thoughtful. Benedict Cumberbatch. I think the line is constantly moving. And it depends on how willing people are to listen to each other. A few seconds of silence follow. Not awkward, just heavy. The audience is completely locked in now. And you can feel it. The conversation hasn't exploded. But it's getting very, very close. That silence lingers just a second too long. And on live TV, that's everything. You can hear someone in the audience whisper, a faint shuffle, a cough somewhere off to the side. The kind of real, unscripted noise that fills a room when people are waiting to see what happens next. Joy leans back slightly, looking at Benedict with a measured expression. Not smiling now, just studying him. Joy Behar. But here's the thing, when the line keeps moving, like you say, doesn't that make it easier for people to cross it and then justify it afterward? A few reactions ripple through the audience. Benedict doesn't answer immediately. He presses his lips together for a moment, thinking. Benedict Cumberbatch. It can. Yes. That answer surprises some people. There's a small murmur. Joy nods quickly, almost seizing on it. Joy Behar. So then what stops it? Because from where a lot of viewers are sitting, it feels like there aren't many consequences when public figures get it wrong. Now the room tightens again. One of the co-hosts shifts in her chair, glancing between them. Host, I think accountability is part of. Joy lifts a hand slightly, not dismissing, but holding the floor. Joy Behar. No, because this matters. People feel like there's a double standard. Benedict leans forward a little more now, his posture more engaged than at any point so far. Benedict Cumberbatch. Accountability absolutely matters. And I think it exists, maybe not always in the way people expect, but it does. Joy's eyebrows lift. Joy Behar. How so? Benedict nods, as if he anticipated that. Benedict Cumberbatch. Public scrutiny is intense. Constant. Every word, every action, it's analyzed, criticized, debated. That is a form of accountability. A mixed reaction, some applause, some skeptical murmurs. Joy responds quickly. Joy Behar. But is that the same as real accountability? Or is that just noise? That word, noise, gets a few louder reactions. Benedict's tone stays calm, but there's more weight behind it now. Benedict Cumberbatch. It can be both. Sometimes it's meaningful. Sometimes it's not. But dismissing it entirely ignores the impact it has. Joy leans forward again. Joy Behar. Impact on who, though? Because I'm talking about impact on the people who feel like they're being talked over, not the celebrities. That line hits harder than the last few. The audience reacts, louder this time. Some clapping, some vocal agreement. Benedict nods slowly, acknowledging the point again. Benedict Cumberbatch. And they're right to feel that way if that's their experience. There's a brief pause. People weren't expecting him to concede that directly. But then he continues. Benedict Cumberbatch. But I think the solution isn't to shut down voices. It's to broaden the conversation. Audience applause returns, stronger but still divided. Joy gives a small, tight smile. Joy Behar. That sounds good in theory. A few laughs break out, light but tense. Joy continues. Joy Behar. But in practice, the loudest voices tend to dominate. And let's be honest, celebrities have some of the loudest voices out there. Benedict tilts his head slightly. Benedict Cumberbatch. That's true, which is why it's important how those voices are used. Joy doesn't hesitate. Joy Behar. And who decides if they're being used correctly? Now it's getting sharper again. Benedict exhales quietly, almost a thoughtful sigh. Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't think there's a single authority on that. Joy immediately jumps in. Joy Behar. Exactly. So it becomes subjective. Benedict nods. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes. It does. There's a pause, short but noticeable. Joy leans in again, her tone shifting from questioning to more pointed. Joy Behar. So then isn't it fair for people to push back hard? Even if it makes celebrities uncomfortable. A few louder claps. This resonates with part of the audience. Benedict doesn't flinch. Benedict Cumberbatch. Of course it's fair. Disagreement is healthy. He pauses. Benedict Cumberbatch. What I think becomes less helpful is when disagreement turns into dismissal. That line lands. The audience reacts, some applause, some quieter nods. Joy narrows her eyes slightly. Not angry, but focused. Joy Behar. Dismissal or criticism? Benedict responds calmly. Benedict Cumberbatch. There's a difference. Joy tilts her head. Joy Behar. Explain it. Now the room is fully locked in again. Benedict leans forward just a bit more, hands lightly clasped. Benedict Cumberbatch. Criticism engages with what someone is saying. Dismissal ignores it entirely based on who's saying it. A strong reaction, applause builds quickly. Even one of the co-hosts nods more visibly now. Host. That's a really important distinction. Joy doesn't interrupt this time, but she's not backing off either. Joy Behar. But if people feel like they've heard the same kind of message over and over again, from the same kind of people, don't they have the right to tune it out? Benedict considers that. Benedict Cumberbatch, they do. Absolutely. The audience quiets. This is more measured now. Benedict continues. Benedict Cumberbatch. But tuning out isn't the same as shutting down the conversation entirely. Joy exhales, a slight shake of her head. Joy Behar. It feels like you're trying to have it both ways. A few ooh reactions from the audience. Benedict raises his eyebrows slightly. Not defensive, just surprised. Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't think so. Joy presses. Joy Behar. You're saying people should listen, but also that celebrities should keep speaking. At some point, something has to give. Now the tension peaks again. The co-hosts exchange glances. One of them leans forward slightly like she might step in, but doesn't. Benedict's tone becomes a touch firmer, not louder, but more direct. Benedict Cumberbatch. What has to give is the idea that one group owns the conversation. That line hits hard. The audience reacts loudly, applause, a few cheers, some clear disagreement too. Joy leans back, arms crossing again. Joy Behar. No one's saying anyone owns it. Benedict responds immediately. Benedict Cumberbatch. It can feel that way when certain voices are dismissed outright. The overlap happens, just slightly. Joy Behar. Or when those voices dominate. Benedict Cumberbatch. Or when they're reduced to stereotypes. They both stop at the same time. The audience reacts loudly. This is the moment. The real clash. A co-host quickly steps in. Host. Okay, this is clearly something people feel very strongly about. Nervous laughter from the audience. Joy uncrosses her arms, leaning forward again. Joy Behar. And that's the point. People do feel strongly about it. Benedict nods. Benedict Cumberbatch. As they should. There's a brief pause again, but this one feels different. He continues, more measured. Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm not here to tell anyone how to feel. I'm just saying that conversation only works if it goes both ways. The audience quiets, listening closely. Joy looks at him for a long second. Joy Behar. And what if people feel like it hasn't been going both ways for a long time? That question lands heavier than anything before it. No interruption this time. No laughter. Just silence. Benedict looks down briefly, then back up. You can see he's about to answer, but there's a weight to it now. And the room feels like it's right on the edge of something bigger. That question just hangs there. No one jumps in. Not the co-hosts, not the audience. Even the usual background noise of a live studio feels like it's faded out for a moment. Benedict looks down briefly, then back up at Joy. His expression is calm, but there's more gravity now than at any other point in the conversation. Benedict Cumberbatch. Then I think that's something worth really listening to. The audience reacts softly. No big applause, just a wave of quiet agreement. Joy watches him closely, almost as if she's trying to gauge whether that answer is enough. Joy Behar. Listening is one thing, but change is another. A few people in the audience clap at that, short, sharp. Benedict nods. Benedict Cumberbatch. Agreed. That simple agreement shifts the energy slightly. It's not combative in that moment, it's grounded. Benedict continues. Benedict Cumberbatch. And change doesn't happen overnight. It's uncomfortable. It requires people to admit when they've been wrong, or when they haven't done enough. The audience responds more strongly now, applause building again. Joy leans forward, but her tone is less sharp than before. Still firm, but more reflective. Joy Behar. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you got it wrong? There's a small ripple through the audience. This is personal again. Benedict doesn't hesitate this time. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes. That immediate honesty gets a stronger reaction. Applause, a few approving sounds. Joy nods slowly. Joy Behar. And what did you do about it? Benedict takes a breath. Benedict Cumberbatch. I listened. I learned. And I tried to do better. The audience claps again, more unified now. But Joy isn't completely satisfied. Joy Behar. Do you think that's enough? That question brings the tension back, just slightly. Benedict pauses, then answers carefully. Benedict Cumberbatch. It's a start. But no, it's not always enough. The audience reacts again, this time a mix of respect and curiosity. One of the co-hosts finally steps in, her tone softer, trying to balance the conversation. Host, I think what's interesting here is that both of you are actually saying something similar in different ways, about listening, accountability, and responsibility. Joy glances at her, then back at Benedict. Joy Behar, maybe. But I think the frustration people feel is real. Benedict nods. Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't doubt that for a second. That line lands well, applause again, but calmer now. Joy exhales, her posture relaxing just a little. Joy Behar. And I don't think people are trying to silence anyone. I think they just want to feel heard. Benedict responds gently. Benedict Cumberbatch. And they should be. A brief pause follows, not tense this time, but reflective. You can feel the shift. The edge of the argument has softened into something more grounded. The audience starts to clap, not loudly but steadily. Another co-host smiles, sensing the moment. Host, this is why conversations like this matter. They're not always easy, but they're necessary. Joy gives a small nod. Joy Behar. They are. Even when they get a little heated. A bit of laughter breaks out, relieving some of the tension that's been building. Benedict smiles faintly. Benedict Cumberbatch. Especially then. The audience laughs and applauds again. There's a moment where it feels like the segment could end right there on a positive note. But live TV doesn't always wrap things up that neatly. Joy turns slightly toward the camera. Joy Behar. Well, we've definitely given people something to talk about today. Audience laughter. The co-host adds. Host. That's an understatement. More laughter, applause. The segment begins to wind down. The music hasn't started yet, but you can feel the producers probably signaling in their earpieces. Joy looks back at Benedict one more time. Joy Behar. I appreciate you staying in the conversation. Benedict nods. Benedict Cumberbatch. I appreciate being part of it. They exchange a brief, polite smile, not overly warm, but respectful. The audience applauds again as the segment wraps. And then the camera pulls back slightly as the show transitions. But that's not where it ends. Because within minutes of the segment airing, clips start circulating online. Viewers are already reacting strongly. On social media, the moment where Joy Behar says credibility starts trending. Some people agree with her, saying she voiced what a lot of viewers feel. Others are backing Benedict Cumberbatch, praising how calm and composed he stayed under pressure. Short clips of their overlapping moment, where they both tried to speak at once, get shared thousands of times. Some viewers call it tense but respectful. Others say it was long overdue. A few even debate whether it went too far for daytime TV. Backstage, according to show insiders, the atmosphere is noticeably quieter than usual. Not hostile, just reflective. The hosts go their separate ways for a break. There's no big confrontation off camera, no dramatic fallout. But there's definitely an awareness that something real just happened on air. Benedict reportedly spends a few extra minutes speaking with producers before leaving. Nothing heated, just conversation. Joy, on the other hand, is said to stand by what she said. No regrets, just perspective. By the end of the day, major entertainment pages are picking up the story. The View gets heated as Benedict Cumberbatch and Joy Behar debate celebrity influence. Clips continue to circulate. Comment sections fill up fast. Some viewers say this is exactly what talk shows should be, real conversations, not scripted moments. Others say it's a reminder of how divided opinions can be, even in a casual setting. And then there are those who say, this won't be the last time something like this happens. Because conversations like this don't just end when the cameras stop rolling. They continue, online, in discussions, in debates. And that's what keeps people watching. So what do you think? Was Joy Behar right to push as hard as she did? Or did Benedict Cumberbatch make the stronger case by staying calm and measured? Share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to the Star Talks for more real talk show stories.